Welcome back to the Paul Ewan channel. Today we're going to cover some could be considered very controversial this year. So as you know, Diontae Johnson, the wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 18, today posted criticized some of his fans, negative ones, not the positive ones. But I have reasons on why he might not have been in the right to do that, because he has had a good year. I mean, I'm not saying it was a great year, but this is about criticizing negative fans. I mean, he kind of brought it on himself, because he dropped a lot of passes. He was very inconsistent at times when the quarterback threw a pass to him, and I think that he might have been a little bit too cocky, if you know what I mean. It's not like he isn't one of the best Steelers. I mean, there's one thing you got to remember. We've had great receivers in Steeler history. We've had Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Hines Ward. Who else? Antonio Brown, at least when he was had a good off the field life. And then we also had guys that were maybe a little bit too arrogant, like Eric Green. We also had not to mention we had another great receiver in Charles Johnson. But thinking about all those guys is that when they put on that Steeler uniform, they were proud of it. They weren't whiny about it. They weren't saying, oh, the fans are being too negative. It's like, if you played bad, you were going to hear it. Simply nothing you could do about it. It's like, if you played bad on a specific day, on Sunday or Monday or Thursday, you were going to hear about it. Nothing, no ifs or buts about it. NFL is a sport where you have to be your best. And if the fans dislike what you're doing, hey, it is what it is, But one thing Diontae Johnson has had great games this season. He's had bad games this season. Part of it might be because of his ankle injury he suffered against his hamstring tear he suffered against San Francisco. That could have been why he's consistent. He stopped being so consistent. But I think there might be a little bit more than that, because we've had plenty of Steelers that have been critical of their fans. I can remember in 2019 when Antonio Brown got very heated and he was on social media doing all this crazy stuff. Don't get me wrong, he was a good player. He was one of the best. Shout out to my point, AB. Shout out to you, buddy. He had a great season. He had great seasons, but the problem that I think is that he's a little bit too arrogant. Same be said for Diontae Johnson and George Pickens, who I think are both very talented players. Don't get me wrong, but if Johnson would play really well, and he criticizes negative fans, I'd say go ahead, go for it. But when you're sometimes inconsistent on occasion, you gotta think first, because like I said in the beginning of the video, when you put on a Steelers jersey, those guys put on jerseys like Lambert. I'm going to talk about all the players. Harrison, Hines Ward, when he put on that jersey, they were proud to be a Steeler. And if I was a Steeler, I'd be darn proud of it too, because that team is based on success. 6 Super Bowls pretty much would define what success means for Pittsburgh. And true, they haven't won one since 2009, but this is a team that can do great things, but they have to make sure that their egos are in check, because the one thing that all great championship teams have is normalcy in the locker room and and on the field. Your attitude's gotta be very good. You gotta have a very positive attitude when you play sports, especially football, because football is a team sport. You play as a team. You don't put your teammates down. You don't do any of that stuff. It's not even handle your business. Deontay Johnson is an example of not handling your business correctly off the field. He's not handling it correctly. I mean, true, in a way I kind of feel for him, but he really has to think about how his play has been, because when you play when you don't catch passes you're supposed to catch, that may be a problem, because he has talent. I'm not saying he doesn't have any talent, because he is. In the past, he's been terrific. He never really got to any, he never really won a playoff game as of recent. Last times we went to the playoffs, we basically got our butts kicked by Cleveland in 2020 and by Kansas City in next year. They won't get to the playoffs. They want to make the playoffs this year and then we get in. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone has to be. It's pertinent that everyone must be on the same page if you're going to make the playoffs, because you're playing the number one seeded team in your conference, and they are a team. They work together. True, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that are in the playoffs right now that have issues. A.J. Brown, the Eagles, but right now I'm focused on the Steelers, because every now and again with the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's always conflict. In 2018, they had lots of trouble. They had Tony Brown picking fights in the locker room. They had a good season. Their season was okay, but not really the Steelers I'm used to watching, because in the first 5 years of my life, I watched 2 Super Bowl teams, and I saw what doesn't work and what does work. What doesn't work is bad attitude. That does not cut it, especially since when I saw those 2 Super Bowl teams. Attitude, a poor one does not cut it, because that is unacceptable. Because if Ben Roethlisberger and Heinz would have gotten whiny, that team morale will be going right down the tubes, because let me make it clear, it is a team sport. You play as a team and you lose as a team, but even if you lose, you got to keep the same morale. You got to keep it high, because if you don't, your team might not be that good. And it's not to say the Steelers don't have a good team this year. They had two rough games against. They lost to 2-10 teams. That was probably their worst. That was probably their lowest low, if you want my opinion. But yeah, the Steelers are gonna they got to fix their attitude for this game, because if they want to make the playoffs, their attitude that they have, it needs to be better, because good teams that won championships don't always fight with each other. They don't always argue. They don't always cry foul on social media. They work hard. And I don't see what's wrong with that, because working hard is what gets you championships. And in the NFL, morale also counts. So if you guys want to post in the comments what you think, smash that bell notification, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. All right. Peace.